Hello, welcome to the first ever naked marketing interview series with Coach Tactics and Jim Pagiamtzis. Did I say that okay? Yay, from 21 Connections. My friend Jim has agreed to be my first, I'm not going to say test because this is a real world run. So I'm really excited that you've agreed to do this with me. And I love the things that are hanging behind you on that bookshelf. You want to tell us a little bit about that?
No, we'll talk about it later.
What's going on over there? It's interesting. I always love to see what people have in their home office. Okay, so what to tell you about Jim? If you're seeing this video, you've most likely seen Jim either at a networking event or in my videos where he's been interviewing me for the last 3 years since I've been in business. And he's become a friend from, networking. And what he does is, I'll read you a little bit of his bio, is he's a published author, speaker, and of course, entrepreneur. And he teaches people strategies about speaking and networking and socializing your way to success. And he's author of the book, Get Connected, 21st Century Online and Offline Strategies That Work. And he speaks at the Junior Achievement of Ontario. Wow. Tell us about that throughout the year. And then you're the current ambassador of the Panam and Parapan Games coming to Ontario in the summer. So talk a little bit about those last things. Those look really exciting to me.
I will appreciate that. So, one thing that I want to do is always give back. So some people give back money-wise. They tithe or they give to charities. And I've done it in the past. But sometimes I like to do this, is use my time.
Yeah.
So with Junior Achievement Ontario, it started in 2008 when I was in the corporate world. And then after I left, I continued. So I went around the Toronto area, Mississauga, Brampton, and spoke to these young, inspiring young professionals about staying in school, economics of staying in school, dreaming big. And recently, I taught a course that they just brought out called Entrepreneurship, which was really exciting. I went to Lester B. Pearson in Scarborough over a 2-day period, and just near Halloween. And they had a great time. The teacher was very invigorated. He was excited about it. So we
How old are the kids?
grade 10 students.
Okay, so they're not picking their nose or...
Yeah. So I was so excited. Junior Achievement has come a long way. They've been around for about 25 years. They never came to my school, and I was in school, back then.
That would be nice.
Yeah, so I get to go back and share some of I guess my success, because I think we should toot our own horn, and I'll talk a little bit later on. But I think that it's important that we all have these successes, and yes, Chala, you've been a great supporter. She has been on my radio show. We've had some great conversations, and every time I ask Chala to participate in a recording, she does. Recently, we're at the Metro Convention Center, and she did this great recording in front of an awesome painting.
You remember that?
I was awesome, and again, it was a great. That wasn't the painting. The painting was great, but Chala gets some great. The painting was great. It's massive. North building, basement. There's a big screen there.
I know. You're always, I swear to God, in any corner of any networking event, I can find you recording something, and I love that. You're master at creating content.
Yeah, and the reason I do that is because I think you want to catch the essence, and I have to pay back. And this is going to be a great interview because Chala's done that. I actually talked to Chala yesterday about her newsletter because I recently changed mine, and Chala has a great newsletter. Why I tell this is because she uses a service that I promote and sell, but also she uses it well. And I was asking her some questions yesterday about her, her videos and what she does and all that. And she was very honest and gave me some answers, which I really appreciated. But the scope is today's talk is going to talk about some of our failures. So I've had failures, have some doozy ones, but I've also had some great successes. And I think that the power of video and how you use it in 2015 and beyond is extremely important. And I hope at the end of this 29 minutes we have that you'll walk away with at least a couple of good points. I hope at least one good point where you can say, okay, I can do that. I can go and by Friday say, okay, I'm going to do this. If not, email, call myself or Chala, and we'll figure it out for you.
And in fact, you're going to be on tomorrow's newsletter.
Yeah.
And like I have no idea, like this light thing, I have no idea how to control the sun. I have no idea how to control the lighting.
It's okay. It's not great.
But because we're naked, it's fine, right? In fact, I'm getting a little warm. I'm going to take off my jacket. Like, you know what? I'm going to be like, my first interview, I'm going to have my jacket.
Oh, there you go.
It's too warm under the sun. And that's saying something because it's like minus 21 out.
It's cold out there, ladies and gentlemen. In Toronto, it's cold. Minus 17, just to be exact. So
Exactly. Thanks for saying kind words about my newsletter.
We deserve, at the end of the day, we deserve to hear compliments. We don't hear enough compliments in our day, believe it or not. Now, excluding our kids, our family and all that, between other people, we don't. So,
it doesn't compliment me.
So it's all goes. So go ahead, ask you. That's a question.
So now I want to remind, because this is the first one, I want to remind everyone that naked marketing is about not actually being naked, but similar to, when Jamie Oliver, the naked chef, came out with the naked idea, it's uncoated by the varnish of posturing and of trying to look successful all the time. And it's long been my belief that as a business, we stand out more because we're more authentic and vulnerable. And vulnerability causes trust to happen. So you'll be surprised, Jim, that some people have said no to this, right? And I mean, I have all the respect in the world to anybody who says anything, but if they're saying no because they don't want to be vulnerable, then, that's a really good example of why people aren't able to step out, why more people aren't able to step out, and they don't stand out from the rest. So thank you for being here, first of all, for wanting to share your past mistakes. So the first question I'm going to ask is, what was your worst marketing mistake in the past?
So I started a newsletter in 2008, and over the years I've shared different content. And in 2011, I used Constant Contact, a social media solutions provider here, based out of Boston. But I actually started selling their services a couple of years ago. So part of my newsletter is I like sharing. So as Chala alluded, I have interviewed many different professionals and entrepreneurs over the past 5 years for reasons to share their expertise, and also selfish reasons for me, because I don't see them that often, and I just want to engage with them. So one funny thing that happened to me was, in my newsletter, at one point, I used to put videos. So I put videos and articles. Well, in one instance, in one video, in a couple of newsletters that I put out, I put like 5-6 videos out on one newsletter. And because I felt the information was interesting, relevant. Well, what happened, ladies and gentlemen, unfortunately, I'm not the next Brad Pitt from the sounds of it. The next day, I just happened to have a meeting with one of my previous mentors. His name is Tom Kaufman. He's a cold calling specialist. Over coffee, he stops. We're at Tim Hortons. I never forget, we're at Tim Hortons in Mississauga. Stops me and says, "What the heck was that newsletter all about yesterday?" I'm like, "What are you talking about? 4 videos, Jim? Are you serious? 4? Man, you don't believe the grief I got from some people, the unsubscribes that I got, because at the end of the day, I learned a big, big lesson.
Wow.
Is I was sharing with a fire hose, like, rather than dripping it.
Interesting.
And
wow.
That was a huge lesson. I was just making notes about this, and I thought this is a great example, because this happened to me. And what it is sometimes because I feel that, yes, I got great content, and I do. I have content going back to 2008. I have videos, audios, interviews, which is great. It's great to have that content because I can repurpose it. But sometimes if you have too much content, then the audience goes, "What's going on?" So recently, here's another thing that happened to me. So recently, I redid my newsletter. My newsletter is a weekly newsletter of events and other great events.
I look forward to that.
Yeah, and it's great. Again, but what I did is the newsletter didn't really share the expertise that I have. So I changed it in 2015 to three things: learn, speak, and socialize. And I cut back all the information I have into three areas. So I put the Public Speakers Association, I put something on social media, and I put something on Learn. Looking at the analytics was obvious. It was less, but more people opened it up and viewed it than having too much. The extra information that I had, I just put a little button. For more information, go here and go to my blog. And I've seen immediate things. So I'm going to drip out information rather than with a fire hose it out to people. Because I was overwhelming them. And it wasn't helping me potentially attracting people to what I do.
Right. So I have a question about that. Do you think it was the content, the quality, or the audience? Like, what was it? You know, like
it was too much content.
Was it about the same topic?
Oh, different topics.
So, because when an ad goes wrong in the advertising world, and that's where I come from, we always, or when a campaign goes wrong, we always think, okay, what was it? Was it the message, the method, or the spend? Like, it just wasn't enough. And spend means exposure. Mm-hmm. So for you, you're saying it was just too much.
Too much.
Right.
Too many links. There was 25 links.
Yeah.
Way too much. No, yeah. And I did surveys throughout the year. The surveys were coming back with great content. But I started asking people who get my newsletter face to face about that, and it became evident that yes, Jim, you have amazing content. There is no doubt you have great content. You interview some amazing people on different topics, you included, which is great. But they can only take so much. And I was like, I have to understand my audience better to really be able to connect with them better.
Yeah.
Right? This year I'm gonna still create content. I'm gonna write new articles. I just actually repurposed an article today on my social media platforms on having better business meetings. Right. It's a short article that I wrote a couple of years ago for a Caribbean newspaper here in North Toronto. So the article is short and sweet. So I'm going to do that over the next 8 weeks. I'm going to repurpose. I have about 15 articles, all great topics, because business owners need to understand there's different areas of their business they need to work on. So I learned a big lesson. Even though I kept doing it, it was okay. But the scope of attracting better things to certain initiatives I'm working on that I'm passionate about, and I think it's going to take a few months. But from what I've seen already in the first week, it's relative that just a little bit, not too much, just a little bit. So drip it out to them rather than a fire hose. Because if they want more, they will let you know.
Right.
At the end of the day. So those are two stories that this happened to me.
That's a good one. So I have a question, another question. Of course, I'm the interviewer, which I'm not used to being. There's a phone ringing, so I don't even know how to turn off the phone. Anyway. We're going to have to I'll have to figure that out for the next one. I know that you're a constant contact representative or associate. What do you call it? I don't know.
It's a solution provider.
Solution provider. So if you get a client who is a constant contact new client who doesn't know how to form a newsletter, do you take the learnings that you have, that you just talked about, and are you able to help them, or is there some other way that, you can contribute to them because of your expertise?
It's a good question. So I'll give you a short answer. So just recently in December, one of my Public Speakers Association members decided to start a newsletter campaign. I'm very excited for him. He has he has the same thing I do. He has a lot of content. Right. So what I did is over the holidays, I cut out I made time for about an hour, and I had a brief phone conversation with him. And I said, "This is what I recommend you do for a newsletter." Okay. Yeah. I sent him some examples of newsletters from mine to others that he could look at to help him create a template. And I told him that I don't want you to go online to do this. I want you to do this on paper. get a pen and paper, and physically write what you want everything to go before you even go on the computer. I've done this over and over again, and it's worked. So it's again, I'm putting time and effort because he's having trust, not only in the platform, but also in my expertise. And what I found over the last 3 to 4 clients that I've been doing this and learning in the process, it's working. They're more engaged with me. They feel more comfortable. Again, it goes back to the fact that I can overwhelm him. And I was very careful not to do this. I was careful to say, okay, this you have to do this, and this. And he's actually, I just touched base with him today via Facebook. How's it going? He says, by Friday, I will have you, I will have a template for you to review. Because we're on a journey together. It's not me saying, okay, yes, I do have 5 years of expertise. That's great. But if he doesn't go through the process and create that template, then he has to take ownership of what he's doing. Right. He's taking ownership of his business, not just his social media campaign. Right. So that's what I've done. And that's what I've done with numerous clients, from real estate agents to speakers. It's the same process, and I've sort of refined it as I go on, but I've seen that it works, and I've seen from their results.
Like their open rates, yeah.
Their open rates, from their feedback they get, and just from them, from their genuine response, that they're still connecting with me, they're still talking, they're engaged with me. Because part of having a client base, like this year, I set a big goal to have 20 plus clients, saying in the constant contact area.
Right,
so,
right.
But I want 20 amazing clients. I want clients that are not just, yes, they're paying for the service, but they're engaged and very happy they're using the service, and they're taking my leadership and journey together. That's the goal. Because who wants a client that's being a pain in the butt? Sorry for my French. I've had a lot of pain in the butt clients last year, say the Public Speakers Association, but I've learned now better how to handle those types of clients, because they still have something to serve, but they have to be respectful of the platform and what we put together. And sometimes, I know you probably have some stories there, but again, you have to be a little vulnerable. But what I did is I went to my mentors and I said, okay, I'm having this issue. And it was like, how do I deal with it? And then they stepped in and they worked with me. Because in January, I had another big issue in January. But what I did is the way I responded was more important, the way I reacted. I'll say it again. The way I responded was not the way. It's the way I reacted was more important. I didn't have a fit. I said, okay, what's the next step? I pick up the phone. I called some of my other teammates in the Public Speakers Association. They're more than willing to team up with me to help me with this situation. I felt better. Done. Rather than going, oh, here we go again. That's not what I said. And I feel much better.
You're getting naked. I like it. You're getting naked right now, which is good, because it segues perfectly into the next question.
Yeah.
Which is your biggest fears in showing yourself in your marketing. And some of the fears that I've seen are, there are people who refuse to put their picture in their social media, people who refuse to put their pictures or videos in their websites, people who refuse to write about painful, personal, past stories in their about section. So even though it connects very well to what they do. So, what's your biggest fear in showing yourself?
That's a good question. I've been reviewing myself literally for many years. Since 2008, I've been writing, recording myself on my journey. And I just did a blog talk radio show for the last part of the year, for 2014, called Challenges and Opportunities, where I really exposed what happened to me this year. In a sense of, I had major challenges, but the scope of why I did the radio show was to show how I took those opportunities and made them happen. Let me tell you, it was a very tough year for 2014, but I'm glad I stepped above. I pushed myself to contain momentum and have some amazing things that happened throughout the year and going 2015. So a friend of mine, his name is Patrick Vizendavi. He has a blog called The Journeyman Stories. And Patrick and I are blog brothers because we started our blog together in 2008. And the reason I bring Patrick up is Patrick has been very open. On his blog, he shares insights about his personal life, family life, his sister, his daughter, his journeys. He's very vulnerable, and he was well aware of it, that he was very vulnerable. But again, that's his story, and I've really taken a slice out of that and share my vulnerabilities, and I think it's something that you have to be confident doing. And I'm definitely, it's not like sharing, your deep, darkest secrets. We're not talking about that, ladies and gentlemen. We're talking about the fact that, yes, you mentioned something interesting about people not sharing their faces on their social media or doing videos. It's something very interesting for me, because I think that people can take a selfie. People can take their phone and take a selfie of themselves. So I can go here. So let's talk about being naked. So I can get my selfie right now. Look, I can get my phone right here.
You're not going to show us selfies.
So I can go like this right now.
Yeah. Hey, this is a great idea.
So I go like this. Hold on.
I've never done this before.
So here, so I can go like this.
It's a selfie of a.
Oh yeah. So I gotta hold this. See? Oh.
God, this is riveting television at its best.
So I can go like this.
Oh my God.
And I just did a selfie. Okay.
I hope I was in it.
So I just did a selfie. Look, see? So there's a selfie, right? That's real right there. Right there. So this is, the reason I did it, this is the 21st century. My book is called Get Connected 21st Century. Remember earlier in 2014, Ellen DeGeneres did a selfie at the Grammy Awards. What happened? It broke Twitter, ladies and gentlemen, 3.3 million retweets. I was sitting watching the Grammys, and I didn't pay attention to that particular part till a day later. Hello?
No. I saw it.
I didn't know till a day later what had happened. So at the end of the day, he's much more engaged. And I think that if we don't, the opportunity is there to be the face of your business. I think that's a big opportunity. So people who do that, yourself, myself, are not that we're the geniuses of the world. I think we're taking ownership of the fact that we can do that. And the ability to have people to learn. Because let me tell you the reasons for that. When you do that, the ability that people can reach out to you, and people do this. People have stopped me. I got stopped. New Year's Eve, I was at an event. A guy stopped me. His name is Frank. He says, I know you. I said, well, dude, I hear that a lot. Right?
No, was he drunk?
No, he wasn't drunk.
New Year's Eve.
New Year's Eve. And he says, I came to your cash flow game, a camaraderie co-working in October. I said, he remembered the month, the date, and the event. And he says to me, when's the next one? So he's on my meetup group, right? So why this is that I want to create those types of energies where someone's going to stop you.
Someone knows you.
Yeah. Right. I was at a Panam event, December the 7th. It was a Monday evening. A guy stops me at the event. He says, I know you. I've seen your blog and your videos online, but I haven't had a chance to connect. We had almost an hour conversation with this guy. He was telling me that he enjoyed watching the videos. He shared stories of what he went through immigrating to Canada from Cuba and so forth, right? Wow. But I was like, you see what happens? A guy I've never met was following me on the timeline, videos and things he's seen of me, right? And I was like, I felt like, I felt special that night. I was like,
you felt like Brad Pitt.
I like Brad Pitt. So
that's how he feels.
Yeah. So at the end of the day is what I share works, because you never know who's going to watch it. There's some videos that I've done, ladies and gentlemen, that have been watched 10 times. But there's some articles I've written 1,000 times. There's a video that I did with a friend of mine last year in the summertime about networking. It's been viewed almost 300 times on YouTube. My goal is to get to 1,000 for that video, because the content is superb. It turned out great. And I think that we have a big opportunity. There's many people that I know in the United States that do weekly shows. My friend Gary Vaynerchuk, he does VaynerMedia. He does a show every week for 30 minutes. And the guy's a busy guy. Every week he does a show, right? Because he knows.
I like the name dropping there.
Yeah. So
I saw you cuddling up to him. That's the art of marketing.
Yeah,
but wait, I'm going to stop you there, because I cannot let you go without getting naked. I know you're not really afraid right now of showing yourself. But so was there ever a time that you were afraid of speaking maybe a thought that was controversial, or being challenged about what you were blogging about or making videos about? Do you know what I mean?
Oh, yeah, lots of times. I think one of the things I faced a lot, and it's tough to deal with, is being a social media expert.
Yeah.
That in some ways has ticked people off, because social media in many people's minds is an open, free source. You know, you can go tweet, you can do LinkedIn, you can do Reddit, you can do Facebook.
It's free.
It's free. Battling free sometimes and building a business is a very interesting thing to do.
Yeah.
Because let me tell you, I'm not going to mention it. Do you think there's other social media platforms people can use to do email campaigns? I'm not going to mention them, but there is.
Yeah, everything has competition.
Everything's competition. I have the Public Speakers Association that I launched in 2013. Do you think there's other speakers bureaus out there? Yes, there is. Do I care? Not really. Okay? At the end of the day, I have to be totally convinced of what I do and what I share. So what separates me is I'm a strategist. I know my product. I know Constant Contact, up and down, sideways. I know what the Public Speakers Association does, up, down, and sideways. I've gone through all the trainings. I've done everything. I have approached people who are in an NSA who have done for CAPS, and they've come to my meetings, and they said, you know what, these guys run a great event. They didn't join, but that's okay. But what they thought about it was what more mattered to me. How they felt. Did they feel engaged? Did they feel that potentially this is something they can do? And some of them said yes. Okay, but they had their reasons, and that's okay. But for me was the feedback, right? At the end of the day. So at the end of with Chala, let's flip this over to you. I've interviewed you about being a niche coach, and you've evolved into this. And for me, I thought it was going to be a challenge, but I've seen you on your channel. You've gone speaking about this in different areas. You spoke about it when I interviewed at the Metro Convention Center that day. Chala spoke about niche marketing. Right? It's an interesting part, but having laser focused on one specific thing is almost amazing to do. I have 3 areas. Chala has sort of one area, right? So.
But the fear then was that you would be judged?
Yes. You'd be judged that, who do you think you are? You know, I served 2.5 years. I spoke all around Ontario about 15, 20 times a month on social media, colleges, universities. You know, that means something for me. But again, for others, it could mean nothing to them. And I think there's a lot of people out there right now that think they're social media strategists, and they're not. What I do is, how I differentiate myself is I prove my strategies. So I am blessed with Constant Contact. I have 1,000 people on my team as far as I'm concerned in Boston. We have the best PowerPoints. I spoke in December. I got on spoke somewhere in December, and I spoke at a real estate group at the Center for Social Innovations on Spadina.
Nice.
And it was 35 people who weren't paying attention. They were there, but the holiday season was in mind.
Are you kidding?
So I knew this already. So I had a PowerPoint slide of 70 slides. I shrunk it down to about 10.
Oh, good. Excellent.
But I had 3 slides that I knew were award-winning, blown out of the water. So I knew this. So I went in and I got to the slides. So, ladies and gentlemen, I have 3 slides here that will make your evening. As a matter of fact, I encourage you to get your phones out and take pictures of these PowerPoints.
I love it.
And guess what happened? Man, they popped up like crazy. There were at least 6 to 8 people popped with pictures. Why? Because I had a PowerPoint listing all the different social media channels and what they specifically do in each of those channels. That, for me, for them, was wow. That's what LinkedIn does. That's what Twitter. That was the strategy behind how to use them. Who does that? Nobody. And I've never seen anybody do that. So
I'm going to put out a challenge now.
Yeah.
For anybody who sees this video, will you send them that chart?
I will. I can send that chart.
Okay. And how do we contact you?
I'll give you my email address at the end.
Okay. Well, we're close to the end, so we've got a couple more minutes.
Okay. So it's
Tell me your.
Okay. So it's JIM at, my last name is PAGIA, M as in Mary, T as in Tom, ZIS.com. You can email me and I'll send you the slide. So at the end of the day is when I was done, numerous people came up to me at the end and said, wow, that was a really good presentation. They were falling asleep by the beginning, but by the time I was done with them, I had proven that not that I knew social media, but I had the strategies and the call to action to make it happen. So I know my words and my knowledge are powerful, but it's how I share them. So I took up 35 people who really dozed off. But at the end, they were like, whoa, man, that's good stuff. Picture. I did this presentation 4 times in December. I did for the PSA twice, and every single time I came to these slides, man, the pictures, the photos came up. For me, that proved to me that what my differentiating point, what my expertise was that, and that I could do it. That makes me
That's what makes you feel better.
Yeah.
Is you were scared.
Yeah.
But because you feel like you have confidence in your content.
Yes.
And your knowledge.
Yes.
You're able to overcome that fear. Is that what you?
Yeah. Because I'm vulnerable. Because what makes they can sit there trying going, what is this guy saying? What I've seen 15 social media strategists. What makes you different? What makes me different is that I have the proof in that PowerPoint, able to explain that PowerPoint, and you can see them. They stand up, they begin to lean in, they're taking pictures, they're talking to me. That's how I know that they're paying attention. And so you walk in where you're vulnerable already. Every talk that I do, I'm vulnerable. I have no idea how they're going to react. It's about moving forward, and that's why when I started the PSA was to bring that platform, not just for myself too, because I have grown and learned since then, but to give people the same opportunity. Let me tell you, ladies and gentlemen, speaking is not easy. I was a horrible speaker when I started in 2008, and I had the videos to prove it. I had things. I actually horrible things happened to me when I was speaking, but getting choked on my own badge, women breastfeeding in the last row, people falling asleep.
Oh my God!
I wrote a book on presentation magic last year, and I was very vulnerable in my stories. And
somebody breastfeeding in the audience?
Yeah,
that's a blog, man. That is a blog.
January 2014.
That is a blog.
The Women's Expo. It was an event. It was a moment for me.
Wow, that's so proud of you.
So speakers, I've had video where people are falling asleep on me in the front row, and I smack them with my hand to wake up, right? So at the end of the day, I think that we all share that vulnerability. Now than we ever have been, and I think it's how you handle it and how you look into it. So I think that getting this show, doing this show with you and being your inaugural speaker, I think is really getting that point started where you'll have people come to you. They'll watch this show and they'll say, you know what, we were just having a conversation at the end of the day, and yes, you're going to have some funny stories, and I didn't know I was going to share that story with you.
Exactly. So give us one closing thought about your advice about what to do if you're scared and making mistakes in marketing and coming out as your true self.
So here it is, ladies and gentlemen. Here's 2 tips. I'm going to give you 2. So the first thing is, if you're scared, the best thing is to take steps to alleviating that. So say, for example, you want to record yourself. Well, how about this? Don't record yourself. Why don't you call someone? Why don't you call Chala and myself and interview someone?
Good idea.
Put someone with you in the situation. I guarantee that the scope of you being nervous will disseminate and lower.
Yeah.
Okay? Take a little step. Think about what can I do. Interview someone. That's what I did. I interviewed people on my radio show and online. I was very comfortable with the camera. I got better. The second thing is that I learned it's hard is keep it short and sweet. 2 to 3 minutes. Okay, short and sweet. Now this is a little bit of a longer interview, which is great. We've gone 40 minutes, but we've had great content we're sharing with you. All right, a number of points that you can learn from, so you can avoid. We're exposing our vulnerabilities with you, ladies and gentlemen. You can avoid this stuff. So at the end of the day, keep it short and sweet. Do a 10-minute interview. Okay. Short and sweet, record it, upload it, maybe use a private link if you're not ready yet, and then go from there. Take little steps. That's what 2 things I suggest.
Excellent advice. So tell us how we can reach you again.
So you can reach me. You can find me on LinkedIn, Twitter, under JimPagiamtzis. on any of those platforms. You can find me on Facebook if you like as well, but those 3 platforms. And again, my email address is jim@pagiam, as in Mary, T as in Tom, zis.com. And, I can, if you want to learn more about what I do, you can email me your email address and I can add you to my weekly newsletter and go from there. But again, it's being connected. What I want to leave you with this is, first of all, I thank you for allowing me to be on your show. The 3 things that I do every day is learn, speak, and socialize. And you could do just one of those every day. You'll be surprised how you can get out there and be an impactful person in this world. Because, Chala and I, we are similar in the ways that we understand the platforms, and we're learning every day. Chala called me up, and next thing you know, I'm here on this show. And I think that that shows that she's willing to grow and learn and take that experience moving forward. So thank you for a lot.
Yeah, this is new. So thank you so much,
Thank
Jim.
you very much. Thank you.
Wonderful first virgin guest. Thank you.
Thank you, Chala. I really appreciate it.
Take care.
Thank you. Until next time, take care.